I got to ask this because this is where my wife and I are like, we're at loggerheads here.
That's important.
So she is, she's having a hard time figuring out, okay, well, what does my purpose look like? And like, I have a business here and I have, it sounds like maybe similar to you, like blogging and making videos and, you know, doing all sort of poking at all of these different interests that I have that are, you know, touching the architecture space, but they're not like necessarily architecture. Just like you, I mean, you were blogging about financial things, but you're not a certified financial planner. And it seems like you built this kind of glide path to purpose in retirement. And you started doing that a couple of years before retirement. Is that how you found purpose? Or?
Yeah. And you know what I'm going to do? Seriously. When we get done, shoot me an IM with your address. I'm going to send, and give me your wife's name and details. I'll send her a personal note and I'll send her a copy of my book because that, not to self-promote. I hate that, but
oh no,
but it really is. That is the core of my book is how do you find that sense of purpose in retirement? And it's not an easy answer. And exactly what you said, I think the best advice I can give people, if you have the slightest curiosity in something, pursue it and pursue it while you're still working. I started blogging, what was it, 3 years before I retired?
3 years, yeah.
And it was purely just my wife was gone for the weekend. I had my little to-do list. I was like, I'm going to start a blog. You know, I'd listened to podcasts and YouTubes and stuff forever, and I just started it, and it's turned into a really fulfilling part of my retirement just because I had the curiosity and I took that first step. Yeah. Now, you might try 10 things and only one of them will kind of go anywhere. That's fine. You got time, but explore as many of those types of things as you can. I think I'll tell the story of my wife. I don't know if we'll get to that or not, but she started a charity. And my example was very intentional, building all these things up. My wife was a stay-at-home mom. You know, she's already home. We're thinking, okay, she'll have to adjust to me being home all the time. But yeah, that's fine. And we talked a lot about it and what's it going to be like to be together. Well, what we missed entirely was my wife was a caregiver from the time our daughter was born. She was a stay-at-home mom all the way through. And then when our daughter went off to college, my mother-in-law moved in with us. She had Alzheimer's. So my wife was taking care of her. And 3 months after I retired, my mother-in-law passed away. And suddenly my wife was kind of retired. And we never saw it coming. And she's like, that was, in hindsight, that was her purpose. Yeah. And she had done no planning on what her purpose was going to be in retirement. And it was a harder journey. We got through it. She started a charity. She's having a blast. We're really enjoying these years. But if you have the choice between the two approaches, it's definitely easier to do a glide path than to do the cliff.
Yeah. Okay.
No, that's an excellent point. So I remember back when you had your 10 Commandments post, there was one on pursuing passions and trying new things. And so you've just talked about how that really began and the importance of that beginning before you stopped working. I'm curious, in your first year after you stopped working, were you did you just continue upon the things you had already thought you would do, or did you find yourself, random walking around trying to, a whole bunch of new things?
Great. I got the 10 Commandments right over there. We're in my writing studio, as Eric mentioned, and I've got the 10 Commandments printed out and hanging on the wall over there. And I live by them. I really do kind of think about them, and it drives the way I live my life. And it's kind of like continually learning, right? You always want to learn. It's the same thing about always wanting to try and explore and develop new interests. And if you would ask this, the topic, I guess, of today's discussion is retirement is nothing like I thought it would be. Yeah. I don't even think I included this in my post, but if I think about some of the activities that I'm doing versus the activities I thought I would be doing, when we used to come up here, we're in the mountains, so I always say up. I used to come up here and I'd go fishing when we're up here for a week vacation or a weekend. I loved being on the river, and I like fly fishing, and it's trout, and it's, beautiful river gorge and gorgeous. I haven't fished in over a year, Now that we're up here, I used to hike. We used to come up here. We'd hike every weekend. Yeah. Now, I joined a hiking club the first year after I retired. I hiked a bunch. I haven't hiked in probably a year. I mean, we hike, I hike with the dogs out in the woods every day, but, not real hiking. So, yes, absolutely, Jason. I think what I try to look at is almost like a revolving door. You're constantly going around, and there's new stuff coming in and there's old stuff leaving, and you just keep refreshing it, and it makes life fun, So it's, again, continually pursuing that curiosity. And when you start feeling a little bit like, man, I'm doing a little bit too much. Well, figure out what you can stop doing. And to me, it's kind of been natural. It's just, I don't have the time right now to fish. I'm okay with that because the stuff I'm doing, I enjoy more than fishing. If I enjoyed fishing more, I'd do that. Maybe a year from now, I'll get back into enjoying fishing more and I'll stop doing this, you know? So, you know, the woodworking that I'm doing, the woodworking shop that's right behind me that I built, none of that was planned, totally unexpected, totally new hobby, and I absolutely love it. So yes, constantly seek new challenges, constantly pursue new curiosities, and just keep it fresh. It really, it does, it makes life more fun.
Totally. And that idea, oh, sorry, Eric.
Well, I was thinking of my wife, like, you know, if she had an outbuilding, like you built that outbuilding for yourself as you know, kind of an experiment, right? Like, who knows what's going to happen out here? Well, you knew it was going to be a writing studio and a woodworking shop. I was thinking, oh, maybe I should build her like her own little space, and that becomes the kind of shed for experimentation. I mean,
absolutely. If that thought is in your head, pursue it.
Yeah.
You know, talk to her about it. Think about it. Hey, how much could we afford to spend?
Right.
And how much is that going to delay our FI? Wait a minute. You know, do all the math, do all the thinking about it. But what I found is spending money like this, right? This wasn't free, but it's one of the best investments I've ever made, because spending money on those things that can really help you pursue the passions and the things that really get you excited in retirement, those are good investments to make. Much better than buying a new car or some stupid material thing. Yeah, this is a material building, but that's not the essence of it, right? The essence of it is finding that fulfillment and purpose and things that you really enjoy doing, and putting your money and your efforts into those things. You know, we're past the point of having to do things for financial reasons. So finding something, and I would also encourage her, Eric, as she's looking around trying to figure out, hey, what am I going to do for my purpose? Huge question, impossible to answer. But one of the things is, you know, think about ways you can help other people, because it's been demonstrated that getting involved in charitable type of work, or things where you're writing, YouTubing, things where you're making a positive impact on other people's lives, that's a really good place to start. And,
I love that
you know,
advice.
while you're still working, get involved in charity. Try 10 different charities. You know, maybe you'll only like one of them. That's fine. But, you know, try pursuing things like that. And if it gets serious enough, my wife now running the charity, that's one of the reasons we built this. I had my writing studio in the house. It was just the loft in our cabin, but she was blowing out the walls. She had the spare bedroom. There was still a bed in there. She had this little desk, and, you know, suddenly she's running a pretty big charity. She needed some space. Yeah. So by building this, I got my space, but she got my space up there, and that's her purpose room. That's her Freedom for Fido space. So both of us got a space out of it, and that does help. That having a dedicated space to focus on these types of things, that's a good call.
Yeah. Oh, I love that advice. I mean, it's so great. Thanks so much for sharing that. Yeah.